Hey everyone, welcome to the Meta Report, where we break down some LEC trends in just a couple of minutes. If you have been watching LEC over the past 2 weeks, or perhaps just been playing League, you might have noticed that since patch 11.4 hit, mages in the mid lane are picking up Everfrost much more often now. So, what happened? Well, the item got buffed. That's it. That's the video. JK. Naturally, 50 more health, as well as buffed base damage and scaling on its active, are going to make it more attractive for players to pick it up. One can argue that the two most impactful changes were two other things. Even though the effect still takes 0.3 seconds to spawn after casting, the cast time on Everfrost was reduced from 0.25 to 0.15 seconds. This might not seem like much, but it's very noticeable as a change, as champions are self-rooted momentarily while casting the Everfrost active, so it now feels less clunky to use. Secondly, the build path change was huge. Instead of having to wait for 1,250 gold to complete the item, you can now build a Kindle Gem as one of your recipe's components, which makes the whole item very accessible. It's very rare that you won't have enough gold to pick up one of the components of the item when going back to base. Compare this to Luden's Tempest or Liandry's Anguish, where you need to accumulate 1,250 or 1,200 gold to complete the item after having all of its components. It definitely doesn't feel as nice when building towards your mythic item. The other reason why Everfrost is now so universally liked is because in a way it replaced two Season 10 items that two groups of champions enjoyed having. I mean Hextech GLP and Rod of Ages. With the item rework, Everfrost is now the only traditional mage item in the game that grants both health and mana, filling the void for champions that you would normally associate with Rod of Ages, such as Kassadin, Twisted Fate, or Ryze. It's also the spiritual successor to Hextech GLP, with a slow active and similar stats which champions such as Sylas, Veigar, or Neeko were building towards the end of Season 10. The active is somewhat similar, despite the lower range, but the addition of a root made it much more attractive for a wider array of champions too, and the extra damage adds another damage source to your rotation. As a comparison, Everfrost's 125 plus 35% AP active ratio beats Luden's 100 plus 10% AP by a mile. The latter is up every 10 seconds instead of 20, but in a single short burst trade, Everfrost edges out. So far, we have seen this item in the LEC on two main champions, Twisted Fate and Ryze. Twisted Fate used to be a Rod of Ages champion in the past, and he's a big power pick in competitive play currently due to his semi-global ultimate and the ability to pick off champions with Gold card. By 3 items, he will usually also have a rapid fire cannon, and he can look for picks with a long-range Gold card into the Everfrost active. At level 13, that is 3.5 seconds of immobilization on a target, which is usually enough for teammates to follow up and burst them down. Then there's Ryze, who is also a former Rod of Ages user. He loves the stats, and he can also combo his Empowered Rune Prison with the Everfrost active for 3 seconds of immobilization. The item's active also counts towards proccing Phase Rush, although that's not really an issue for Ryze usually. Then we also had Orianna and Syndra pick these up. Generally speaking, it's expected to see more build diversity with these two as they're strong with Liandry's or Luden's too, but whenever more crowd control is needed, they can be comboed with Scatter the Weak or right after Command Shockwave. Are there any other good users of this item? Yes, there are plenty. In competitive play, we have already started seeing Sylas pick this up. In FlyQuest's win over TSM, Sylas can use this right after his first E-dash to guarantee that he can hit his Q or a point-blank stun with Abduct. Kassadin has also shown up in the European regional leagues as he loves the stats and can cast the active in melee range after Rift walking in. Aside from that, expect perhaps LeBlanc or Veigar to show up once in a while. None of these 4 champions are currently very popular, but the buffs to Everfrost might just change that. Anyways, that's it for today. Get out there and try out Everfrost on low to mid-range mages. Here are some extra personal suggestions that weren't mentioned in the video that might be fun to try in solo queue or normals.